So this silliness, jumping in front of the camera, actually has a reason. Imagine if I would jump on my tippy toes. It would be hard, right? Imagine I would jump on my heels. That would be really hard too. By the way, what I'm doing right now here is non-directional energy. See how the horses are still eating and they're not jumping away? I can do jumping jacks. That would be non-directional energy as well. But let's go back to physical balance. So in the previous module and lessons, we've talked about mental and emotional balance. Now we're talking about physical balance when we're actually on our horse. So, try this. Might have to be here, right? So, when I can land on my feet like this, then I have a really solid, sturdy position. When a lot of saddles and a lot of riding programs, especially Western, Australian saddles, Western saddles, actually put your legs in front of you and put you more on your bum. And I can't even do it, right, because I can't sit on anything. But it's called a chair seat. The reason why it's called a chair seat is because we're sitting like we would sit on a chair. However, when we're doing this, then we're not very agile in the saddle. When we're distributing our weight also on our stirrups and the rest of our body, we're more agile and we can zig when our horse zigs and we can zack when our horse zags. So this is really important. The next thing is when I am standing like this, I actually have my toes pointed forward. So I'm not doing this, right? My legs, because this is kind of unstable too, right? This is the most stable. And I really want you guys to feel that in your body so you get an idea how to do this. Now, in my previous video where we talked about the theory, we also talked about that men have flatter thighs, and that's for them, therefore very easily for their leg to lay flat against the saddle. We women have rounder thighs, so we have a tendency that our knees actually kind of pop away from the saddle and our toes therefore stick out as well. So a lot of instructors then will tell us, bring your toes in so that they point forward. Now when you do that and the rest of your body does not follow, then this actually puts a lot of strain on your ankles, on your knee, and even on your hip, and you lock your joints and you're not agile in the saddle anymore. So I talked in my theory video about grabbing the back side of our jeans or riding pants, and we're actually rotating, grabbing it and rotating our leg flat against the saddle. So then, see how my knees point forward, my toes point forward, our whole leg is then laying flat against the saddle, and we're naturally having a very sturdy position versus doing this, right? Then imagine if you don't have your thumbs up, like I suggested in the theory audio, but you have your knuckles up. Now we're doing the chicken dance. And again, this is very unstable. Have you ever seen somebody flap their wings at a canter? So when you put your thumbs up, your elbows come close to your body, and again, this is a more agile, more secure, safer seat. The other thing that I talked about is, remember the story where a friend of mine actually learned to put her shoulders back with a broomstick that she was wrapping her arms around? Now imagine what this does. This hollows your back. there is no way you can do this without hollowing your back, right? So then I'm doing the ducky foot, right, which I naturally have anyway, but this is what's going to happen. And again, our back cannot zig when our horse zigs, and cannot zag when our horse zags, because it's locked when we do this. So imagine you have a string attached to your tailbone, and you're grabbing that string, and with that string you're pulling your tailbone down and forward. This way you have your lower back rounded. Some people call that the Michael Jackson move. And your spine can actually move with a horse. The other thing is, when I do this, then I have a straight line, ideally. Probably my head is a little bit forward right now. When I bring my chest, I never want to think about bringing my shoulders back. I want to lift my chest up, right? And that goes along with the idea that our horse should follow our intent, our energy, our body language, our focus. So imagine I'm riding and I'm opening the space in front of me. My intent is to go this way. The energy is flowing this way. My body language is we're going straight. And now I want to go this way. So now my intent, my energy, my focus is going this way. My eyes, body language, belly button, my shoulders are going this way. And my center of gravity actually shifts over here, and then my horse will follow my center of gravity because he or she wants to be underneath me to be in unison. And I have just made a turn with no reins. How awesome is that, right? So let's see what all the things that I told you in the video. Oh, okay. So when we're sitting like this on our horse, when we glance down to our knee without, I don't want to do this when I'm on my horse because then I become unstable. But think about you glancing, right? And you just want to see the tip of your shoe. That makes sure that your leg is nicely underneath you, and you can not only balance with your bum, but you're also agile in the saddle because you have a sturdy foundation in your stirrups. Now, we already talked about bringing our toes in by twisting our whole leg. And when I say twisting, that sounds uncomfortable, right? And you will notice that this will kind of feel a little bit odd in the beginning. So it's something that you will practice, right? Your body needs to get used to this position. But when we're talking about toes and heels, a lot of riding programs tell you to push your heel down so that you don't lose your stirrup, right? But when you do that, again, we're locking our ankle, then we're locking our knee, then we're locking our hips. And again, we're not agile in the saddle anymore. We are rigid. We cannot zig and we cannot zag. So what we actually want to do is we want to think about that our toes are gently lifted up, and it's like you're having a root growing from your heel downward, and you're simply lengthening your leg into the stirrup. So you're not pushing, you're just allowing your leg to flow and fall down naturally, which we talked about stirrup length. That is super important. If your stirrup length is not correct, there will be no lengthening of your leg, because you might be either, if it's too long, reaching with your tippy toe down, right? And when it's too short, unless you're working on your 3-point position, then it's going to be really hard to do that as well. right? So ideally, the stirrup, the bottom of the stirrup, should be at your ankle bone. And have somebody help you with that. Just allow your leg to naturally fall down and kind of dangle, right, down so that it's nice and loose. And wherever your ankle bone is, that's where the bottom of your stirrup should land. The other thing is when you're standing next to your horse and your horse is saddled, you can reach on the stirrup bar or on the very tip of your fender if you're working in a Western saddle, and you're grabbing the fender or the stirrup leather and the stirrup, and you're bringing it all the way up into your armpit. And this length is approximately what your stirrup should be. So that's how you could check for yourself if you don't have anybody helping. I'm trying to see whether I have forgotten anything. The crown of your head, if you imagine you're kind of like a puppet and you have a string attached to the ground of your head, and this is lifting you up and lengthening your upper body. And again, we're talking about naturally, not overdoing it, not stretching, not struggling. It should be feeling good when you're lengthening your body, when you're lengthening your leg. And just do this exercise with me real quick, and we've done this before, but just for the fun of it. Remember, we want to, and you can do that any given time on your horse too. You can lift your shoulders luxuriously, easy, gentle towards your ear. Wherever you feel a slight restriction, I want you to honor that and move your shoulders slowly back down. And bring them up again with an inhale and exhale. And a third time. Bring your shoulders up. Notice that most likely you're able to bring them up further now until you feel a restriction, and slowly allow the shoulders to release back down. And just notice how that feels in this area. And that's how your whole body should feel. Nice and loose and flexible and agile. So remember, jump. And practice that away from your horse, so when you're getting on your horse, your body will have learned this posture. Toes forward, you see the tippy toes of your shoe, you have rotated your thigh, you have your thumbs up, your elbows next to you. You remember the string on your tailbone, boop. And you remember the chest forward and a little bit up, and your focus is going to make the turns. So I can't wait to see you guys in Module 5, because everything that we've learned so far, we will apply when we get on our horse. How exciting is that? I can't wait to see you. Bye now.